And so, hi everybody, welcome, and a very happy and healthy new year to all of you, and thank you for joining us. This is the end of 2022, and we've got a lovely movie that we're going to be discussing, which is quite appropriate to finish the year. And the best is that in 2023, Shelly will be joining us for many months to come, and we hope that you will all be able to join us. I see that there are many new names and many new faces, in addition to our fabulous friends who are making it possible for us to have Shelly. Now, if you are a guest, thank you so much for joining us. And we hope that you will become a friend of the Stirling Road Library also, so that you could help us to continue with the fabulous programs we have. Jackie, you're in there, I know, and I always steal your line. Jackie always says, and I so agree with her, we are the best bargain in town for $10 a year. You couldn't even go see Shelly separately. So if you are here joining us, join us again and again, but support us. Go to www.stirlingfriends.org and become a friend yourself. And in addition to that, I just want to let you know that the first movie in January, Shelly will be doing The Teacher, because at the end of November, we have a little mess up. So for those of you who were sorry to have missed it, you didn't miss it. You will see it then. And in addition to what Shelly does for us, he has his own groupies. I'm not going to go into his fabulous CV because you all know how wonderful he is. But he also does these great cruises. And I know one of my friends just came back from his last one raving and has already signed up for his August one. So if you are interested in a wonderful week vacation and want to go to sea and be, inspired by Shelly's, check him out, check out his website, and treat yourself to something new. So before I go again, happy and healthy new year. Thank you so much for the support. The Friends of the Stirling Road Library had an amazing year. Despite COVID, we thrived with 425 members, and about 200 and some odd are Stirling Circle members. So we're doing well. Come along with us and enjoy us tonight and in future with Shelly. And Shelly, take us away.
Okay, thank you, Marilyn. And yes, I second that. A happy and healthy new year to everyone. I hope you're enjoying your holiday. It's so, wow, we got some group tonight. This is terrific. I'm so glad. Well, I hope you all enjoyed the film. This was one I purposely picked it as a feel-good movie, a good way to end the year. And the sense of wonder. It's from France. It's from 2015. Eric Bernard, the director and screenwriter, he's got a recent film out, Delicieux, which is, I think, maybe available, and it's also a wonderful film. This is the taste. The French title is Le Goût Merveille, or The Taste of Wonders, or The Taste of Merveille, which is the crispy pear treat served during their Mardi Gras season and mentioned in the film. This is what I call intelligent escapism. We are dealing, yes, as you've seen, we are dealing with someone who is on the spectrum, the autism spectrum, disorder spectrum, which includes Asperger's, people who are high functioning, in this case, but have a difficult time with social interaction and communication. They don't naturally read, for those of you who aren't familiar, but we most, I think you all are, naturally read social cues and might find it difficult to make friends. They can become stressed in social situations. The director, Eric Bernard, did an extensive research to capture the quirks and difficulties of an actual high-functioning autistic person. And I'll speak more about the actor afterwards. But this, this is a tale, what we can call a tale of mutual healing. And it takes place in Nyon, not Lyon, Nyon, a village in the Drôme province in the Rhone Alps in the southeast of France. And the story, although it's quite familiar, it's a story that appears in many genres and westerns. The widowed school mom and the hero would ride into town. Even in film noir, a hero would show up, but this is quite a different hero. This one tends to defy the usual tropes or the usual things we would expect to happen. I love the opening and closing of the film. If you notice the titles with the blur of dots at the beginning and at the end, where at the end the two dots become one. The two dots become one. We have the beautiful Louise, speaking of one, a widow with two children who's trying to save her late husband's pear farm. She's struggling to collect the money she's owed and pay off her debt to the bank. There is Paul, who we meet at the beginning, right at the beginning, an old friend of her husband's who owns the neighboring farm and is only too eager to buy her out so he can cut down most of the trees and convert the place into a eco-tourist spot. He also longs to start a romance with her. And as the bartender tells him at the beginning, forget it, you don't stand a chance. Then there is what we call right after that, the meet cute. Every romantic comedy has to, and I mentioned it before, has to have a meet cute. He and she, well, in these days, it could be she and she or he and he, but they meet in a funny situation, they come apart, they come back together. And here we have the meet cute is an accident when she accidentally hits Pierre. And though he's not seriously hurt, as it appears, she takes him home. And though he seems odd, he takes a liking to Louise. And after the first night, she wakes up and finds he's tidied the whole house. And the house itself, I love what we call the mise en scène, the set, and the details. The house itself is an idyllic version of a French farmhouse. Everything seems to work in this film, to treat us in a nice way. It is like an adult fairy tale. The incidents along the way reveal more and more of Pierre's past, as we've seen, and we get into his head. It's interesting how the filmmaker, the director and writer, how he gets into his head, and we see the world as he sees it. His obsession with numbers and the weather, and how they take on more significance as the narrative moves on. How he experiences surroundings. It's as if his world is becoming enlarged in front of his eyes. And, as the film reveals why during the course of the narrative, he is what I would call, almost a Capra-esque character. He is somewhat like the innocent angel or a mythic presence who appears to work his little miracles, like Clarence in It's a Wonderful Life. And in this fairy tale, instead of a magic wand, Pierre accomplishes his feats with a computer. His behavior is certainly more likable. And as I've said, this is the flip side of Rain Man. For those of you who remember Dustin Hoffman's performance in Rain Man, this is sort of the flip side of Rain Man. The film is also about patterns. If you look at the visual patterns and the way Pierre forms those patterns, the way he looks at the clouds, and the ancillary characters each help to fill in the story. And they all have some sort of depth to them. There's Jules, the bookstore owner who served as his caretaker. And we learn the story as not right at the beginning, but as we meet Jules, and then Jules explains it. There's the doctor and how she tries to help. At first, seeming to be gruff and everything else, but she really wants to help him. The way the children react to him, Felix and Emma. He helps Felix with his math, and will eventually help Emma out of a tough situation. There's the woman, I love the scene with the woman who comes to buy a book, and is enraptured by Pierre's performance of the lines he's memorized from the book. He's seducing her and he doesn't even realize it. And she's coming apart in front of his eyes. There's the people at the market when he's selling the wares. He tells the man, we don't see it, but he told the man he has a big nose. And he says, innocently, why shouldn't I tell the truth? It's funny that he's telling a man with a big nose the truth. It's like a reverse riff on Pinocchio. And how he sees prime numbers in the clouds. Remember how he sees the numbers and how he notices Louise's backside. He fixates on her buttocks. And his sending of the 37 bouquets to Louise, the 37 bouquets of flowers. He saves the pear trees from the frost due to his obsession with the weather, because he can read the weather so well, and how he handles the people in the bar to clean up the dirty smiles by making it rain indoors. And there is the darker side. There is the darker side when he experiences his meltdown and winds up being reinstitutionalized. But it's also, as he's away from Louise, she begins to see the world his way. She begins to see the world his way. We also see that Pierre is somewhat jealous of Paul. He's experiencing certain feelings that he hadn't experienced before, his jealousy, and especially how he will save Louise in the end. He finds a way to make the company pay, and the discovery of the flaw in the bank. It all works. But one of the defining scenes is certainly when Jules goes to visit him and snaps him out of his funk. I love what he does to the room. He is so obsessed, and yet it all will make sense in some form. But in the end, he may not be the man she expected to save her, and she doesn't quite know where this will go. But she is willing to embark on a new beginning with him. I mean, this is, you got to remember, we're all waiting for that passionate moment at the end. Is he going to kiss her? Is she going to kiss him? But this is not Hollywood. This is not Hollywood, folks. He doesn't quite put his hand on her, but he's getting close. He's getting close. And who knows how close he'll get, but I'm sure he will. The end title, and as I said, the end title encapsulates the whole film. If you remember the end title, when it comes up, it says based on a true fairy tale, and which makes it a parody based on a true story. A parody based, when they usually put up based on a true story, this is based on a true fairy tale. The cinematography, with its heightened colors, it's poetic and romantic at the same time. Another film that comes close to this in the cinematography and the way colors are treated. If you remember the film Chocolate with Johnny Depp and Juliette Binoche, it has that same romantic feeling to it. And the music score really helps move the narrative. I thought the music was nice. It was a nice part of the film. The actress who stars in the film, Virginie Efira, she is one of France's most popular actresses today. She does both comedies and dramas, and she's already won a few French Academy Awards, as well as other awards at festivals. but I thought she does a terrific job in this one. And the actor who plays Pierre, his name is Benjamin Lavernay. He belongs to the Comédie Française. He's a major star with the Comédie Française, which is the oldest theater company in the world, the oldest surviving theater company in the world. So he's mainly a stage actor, and he really studied for the role. And Hervé Pierre, who plays Jules, is also a popular featured actor in many French films. But the one surprise in the film is the appearance of the doctor. And I don't know if you recognize her, some of you recognize her. She is Hiama Bass. Hiama Bass. She shows up in a number of Israeli films, a number of Egyptian films, a number of French films, and she starred in American films, and she could be seen on TV as well in a number of series. She is an Israeli Arab. She graduated Tel Aviv University. You might remember, if you think back, she was in a film some years ago, which was a hit called The Visitor. The Visitor, an American film, an American independent film. She was in that. She was in an Israeli film called The Lemon Tree. And she was also, believe it or not, she's appeared in Succession, the TV series that streams, and in Blade Runner. She was in the epic science fiction film Blade Runner. She's a very popular actress, and she does a sort of cameo in this one. So that's sort of a quick take on the film. I'd love to hear what you have to say. And I see hands going up already. Paula?
Yeah, I have an ending that I really have to discuss with you. At the very end, she comes out of the house into the garden, and he is there, and I see a little baby bump on her belly. And they walk along together, and then he somewhat reluctantly takes his hand and takes her around. Now, I don't know, am I the only one that saw this baby bump? But I did.
I maybe, because I didn't realize it. But he doesn't quite touch her at the end. He gets close. He's not ready yet. They're moving towards something.
Right. His hand is behind her, but not quite on her.
Right.
Yeah, but I'd love you to look at her appearance when she comes out into the garden.
I will look at it again. I certainly will. I'll go back on afterwards and look at it. Who's next? Okay, who's going to jump in there? Oh, I don't like this, because then I have to call on people. And I have my favorites I can call and always have something to say. So I'm going to spin the little finger, and I'm going to pick somebody. Jackie, how'd you know I was going to pick you?
I figured you'd call on us next.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming. We both really liked it. We were glad to end this particular session on a lighter note, but actually it's also a very heavy note when you think about it too, because it hopefully teaches us that what we see is not necessarily what we get. And the division in our lives, oftentimes we've made of our own, it's our own making, and we need to accept people for what and who they are, because we expect them to do the same for us. So we really liked it. It was breaking my heart to see her start to tear down those trees. He couldn't get there fast enough, but I liked it, and I thought it had quite a message to it. I liked it. And I loved at the end when they said it was based on a fairy tale. I thought that was cute.
That's great. That's just what I wanted to hear, is for you to say that, is to say it's about, judgment and to be non-judgmental and to accept people and to learn to find their attributes and appreciate it. This is really, a lot of what it is about. There is a lot to read into the film. And I thought the director handled it very well. In keeping with it. So thank you. Rachel, and then Barbara.
I also loved this movie. I thought it was wonderful. And I just loved that scene when he was with the two of them were playing chess at the end, towards the end of the movie. When he's talking about the love, you know, he's doing it in a subtle way because he knows how to handle, not to handle, but to talk to him. So he understands, because he doesn't understand social cues. You know, I sometimes have that too, where I'm not always, and I'm not on a spectrum, but I don't always get everybody's jokes. So some people have to go, LOL, I'm joking. And so in this movie, there were several times that she was like, there was a couple of times she was joking with him, and she realized by his facial expressions, he wasn't getting it. So she goes, I'm joking, I'm joking. And I love how the kids felt a rapport with him. And, you know, and he didn't do it like, you know, pushy, in a pushy way. You know, he let them come to him, you know?
Yes.
He really did. He let, and they were drawn to him because he wasn't pushy. The other guy, they knew right away they didn't like him. He was pushy and he was doing things that the kids did not want her to cut down those trees. And I loved the symbolic part of rooting those trees up. Even though it was a couple of trees, you felt it. The noise level was higher, I think, when they're cutting the trees, and because it was uprooting her life. Her life is changing now, and it's time to redo her life. And it was great because it was only a couple of trees that she did, but it was symbolic of her uplifting her whole life and uprooting it and changing it.
That's terrific.
So, I really enjoyed it.
Great. I'm glad you got all of that. That's terrific. Yes, because it is a metaphor. It does work as a metaphor. It's very strong. That's terrific. Barbara Tate.
I have a couple of things I liked. I noticed in the beginning, when he first meets her, he says, well, you're wearing a pretty dress. And the dress was polka dotted, which she then had on at the end. And I love the woman in the market that came and was squeezing the pears and raising her eyebrows. And the other thing that I thought was wonderful was in the chess game when Jules tricks him into picking up the phone. I thought that was so nicely done, but I felt bad about the trees. I mean, I really felt, can they just rip up trees like that? Was there something actually wrong with them? Did they have permission to rip up, you know, there's about 4 trees.
Yeah, well, he needed to take the trees out to level the land. And
I know,
she
but
didn't
can
want
you
to.
just do that? Can you just go rip trees out someplace?
Well, they're her trees, so I don't, it's a good question. I don't know, but we have to suspend that disbelief.
Did they replace them?
Well, hopefully they will, but you know, what you're saying, though, you know, the first thing he notices the dots on her dress.
The dress.
That's what the film is all about, connecting the dots, you know, and that's what he did. He was connecting dots all over the place, whether it was the clouds, whether it was her backside, everything with dots, and he had to connect them. I mean, even Emma, when she had the problem in the bar and she comes running out and he sets the water off inside the bar. You know, that's what he's doing. He's constantly making connections. It's like a web in his mind. You know, we see that. That's terrific. Thank you. Marilyn.
So I found that it was interesting that he wasn't able to touch her and his hands, you know, but in order to let somebody know that he liked them, he pinched them.
Yes.
So that's about as close as he probably could get, but it was a form of touching.
Yeah, it was. You're absolutely right. It is. I mean, that's the closest he could come was making the pinch. Right. You know, it's all about feelings. I mean, to me, it's all about feelings. Yeah, Linda.
Well, I was looking at the different kinds of love. There was
Mhm.
love there between Jules and you know, him.
Oh,
And then there was love between him and the lady. And the children loved him in a different way as well. And I loved
yes.
you know, I compared it to Rain before you even said that. When I was watching it, I said, this is just like Rain Man.
Yeah.
But I enjoy looking at things through their eyes, what they see, we don't always see.
Mhm, mhm.
I
That-
love it. I love the
that's-
movie. I love the
That's
end.
terrific. Yeah, you know, and you also, it's about love, it's about sacrifice, and that's what Jules is doing. You know,
Mhm.
Jules realizes, you know, he's not going to be around to take care of him forever. And he sees what's happening, and he sees this is a way for him to continue. You know, he sees that there's another form of love. And it is about all the ways we love in the film. It certainly is another aspect of the film. It's a poetic aspect of the film. So thank you. Yes, Jackie, you had something else?
Yeah, I also thought this kind of goes back with what Rachel was saying about the trees. Being from farm country, we know, I thought it was really interesting in the very first tree, how much trouble she had trying
Yes.
to uproot it. She pushed and she pushed and she pushed and scraped it. And with each one of the few that she took, it became a little bit easier. I kind of looked at that as a metaphor, whether it was a sad one or not.
It was.
It was kind of a metaphor of how hard it is to make a change. And then you learn to work with it, which is what she was doing with him, as a matter of fact, and things become a little bit easier. And luckily it ended up where she didn't have to take any more out. But I thought the director did a phenomenal job of showing that it just took a while to get that going, and then it went smoother. And I liked that too.
Yeah, that's great, because you take it a step further from his point of view. It's about change. The film is about transformation, and we watch him transform. I mean, he has the meltdown, but he's taken out of it. You know, Jules gets him out of it, and he realizes someone who can keep him out of it in the end. And I think that was important in terms of the story, is how people depend on each other. And she realizes how much she had to depend on him, in some of these situations. And even Emma, even the kids see him. He's an angelic character for them in many ways, but it's what they want out of life as well. So I think that, he was carefully sculpting the film in that way. It was about transformation. It's about, digging up things and being able to put things away. We remember her husband died in an accident. He was an extreme athlete, basically. So now, she's dealing with someone who is also extreme in a way, but in a different way. It's very interesting how these characters all match up in the film. Thank you, Jackie. Dora?
I had to unmute. I was amazed at the way the actor played the part of Pierre, because it's not easy. It's a very hard part. I know something about the the way he was, that he could not relate to people, so he has to show in his eyes, in his expression all the time, the way those people are. And also, you say that it was like a fairy tale. Did I imagine it, or was it a part where he walks among all this land, all these beautiful flowers? Yes, so it
The
is
lavender, he's walking among the lavender.
the lavender and the other those yellow flowers.
Sunflowers.
So
Sunflowers.
the sunflowers, and yes, I think that part was also very beautiful. It gives you another flavor what it is coming like a fairy tale. And that's my comment. Thank
Yeah,
you.
well, that's part of it.
I love the movie. It was very, very touching, especially that she finally understood him, was able to understand him the way he was. And even I think she began to appreciate him and love him in some way. Maybe at the end it will be a love that will get them together. This is our I know it's not a Hollywood end. It's usually the French way, the French way, that it's your imagination that is going to end the film, right?
Well, yeah, well, yes, because in fact, it's, as a great French director, Jean-Luc Godard, said, every film has to have a beginning and a middle and an end, but not necessarily in that order. And this was really a new beginning. This was a new beginning. And that's how you have to look at these kinds of films, is we come to a new beginning at the end of the film. The film may end, but the story doesn't. But the story
No,
does.
the story doesn't end, right?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's your imagination at the end that you can think about how is it going to end and all that. And I love that, because it gives more to the spectator. Whoever's watching the film, then they can imagine how it's going to end.
Yes, yes. Well, it's and I did, I said that it's very Capra-esque in many ways, if we remember Frank Capra's films, because what we have to do is we have to suspend disbelief in certain cases, in certain parts of the film. No, some of this may not be real, but wouldn't it be nice if it was in our minds, and we also, it's as someone once said, movies are an empathy machine. And if the machine is working properly, we fall in love with the characters because we empathize with them, and I thought Virginie Efira did one at the beginning. When we first meet her, she's a concerned mother. She wasn't a cardboard cutout. She was arguing when she's driving in the car. She was arguing with her daughter. You may be old enough, but I really don't want you working in a bar. When the bartender said, tell her it's okay, and she was like taken aback. She's very concerned about her children. She was a good mother. I think that was part of the setup as well. So all these things work, to give us a story we can hook into. So that's great. Thank you. Marilyn, did you have something else? Oh, I'm sorry, Dora. Go ahead.
We haven't discussed this, but basically what I was thinking of, how is society dealing with people who are on the spectrum or who are a little bit different? And it showed me on this that they really couldn't handle him. I mean, the medical profession, the social worker, they put him in that facility. I mean, it broke my heart to see that, but they didn't know what to do with him. And I think that's probably very honest and very accurate. And in all societies and in all countries, I think that's universal. And if it weren't for, and I don't remember his friend's name, who was really an angel, who got him out of this, what would have happened to him? And he had so much potential, and there was so much for him, and yet the system could have just drowned him.
Yes, that's Jules was his support group. It was with the doctor. The doctor didn't know what to do, and this is the mystery of the human condition. There are, people that's why it's the spectrum. I mean, people at the high end of the spectrum, like Pierre, they go to college, they do learn, they do function in society, they get married. I mean, they we shouldn't look at them differently. We should understand they have differences. Look, we all have our quirks, some more than others. And I think that's what, part of what the film is trying to say as well, about the human condition. And yes, they sometimes they don't know what to do. And fortunately, there are people who have support groups and understand. There's a film from China which I should try and get again, see if it's available. It hasn't been available, but it's a wonderful film that talks about the same problem in a different way. And in China, it wasn't until about 15 years ago that they even bothered to start to deal with autism. In China, they felt if you had an autistic child, no matter how functioning they were, you don't send them to school, you keep them home. And this director, this actor who directed it, worked on it. He's the one who brought it out. He wanted to make a film about this, and he does a fabulous job. It was Jet Li, who is a martial arts actor, who discovered this and wanted to deal with it. So it was very interesting. But I will try and find that film.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Rachel?
What I wanted to say is, I read two things. One thing is, like on 60 Minutes, they once had a segment about autistic, highly functioning autistic people that companies actually want to have work for them because they are highly intelligent. They just don't have the social skills. So they have a mentor that works with them, that understands about autism, and they have like social gatherings with other people that are autistic so they can have camaraderie amongst all people that do have autism. So they have their own little unit as a support. And I found that fascinating. And also something I wanted to recommend if you want to watch a show about autism that is not the Hollywood version of something, is on Netflix. It's a series called Attorney Woo.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I saw that.
Yes, and it follows this woman, and you could see she's highly functioning, but she has autism and what she deals with. And you see it through her eyes. And I would definitely recommend that. But, and my mom always taught me, you don't know everybody's story. So we label people and put them in little categories when everybody has something to offer another person. So
Absolutely. Rachel, thank you. Thank you for bringing up Attorney Woo. I'm glad you did, because it is again about autism, and it is certainly. I mean, it has drama, it has comedy, and the actress pulls it off brilliantly. In fact, it's the first time in South Korea's history of television that they're doing a second season of a series. They've never done a series more than just one time. And because it went off the charts around the world, they are now in production of a second season of Attorney Woo. So for those of you who've seen it, you could look forward to a new season. And for those of you who haven't, I advise you to watch the first season. There's also a French film which dealt with this. In fact, one of you saw it recently, Barbara Tate. You saw
Yes.
The Specials.
The Specials.
Yes, it's a French film. It's not available in the United States yet. I'm hoping it will be. It's another film we all could enjoy, which deals with how the French, how French society is dealing with it. How two gentlemen, it's based on a true story, two gentlemen got together and they've created an alliance because they had two different organizations to deal with autistic and kids by teaching. Now get this, they got delinquents, kids who are in trouble, teenagers in trouble, teenagers living in the banlieue, jeopardized teenagers, to work with these people, to work with autistic children. And it's a wonderful story. It's a wonderful story based on a true story. So we're seeing, and the more you see films like this, the more it helps us understand. I mean, I love the conversation that this creates. And that's what I like to see happen, is it should create a conversation about a particular subject. And this does that. This does that. Is there anybody else out there who would like to comment or join in the discussion? Dora, you have another?
Yeah, Asperger is a kind of autism. It's not exactly. It's in the. Especially the people who has Asperger's are very, very, very smart. Not everybody who has autism is as smart as those Asperger. And Asperger is the name of the doctor
Yes.
who started naming it Asperger. So it's the name of a doctor.
Mhm.
And it's very difficult to it's very difficult for even from some doctors to say that a person has Asperger's. They
Diagnosis.
have to go through a lot of a lot of tests, and maybe yes, they have Asperger's, maybe not. But especially the function of the interaction with other person is, I think, their biggest problem.
Yes, it's social interaction. Alice Soskin had an interesting comment in the chat. PBS has shown a documentary. I guess it is available. It's called In a Different Key. In a Different Key. It's about the first person ever diagnosed with autism. The first person ever diagnosed with autism. So if you write that down, you might be able to find it. Maurice, I see your hand.
That's a beautiful documentary that we just referred to. It's a
Uh-huh.
2-hour documentary. It actually was shown 2 weeks ago. And this
Oh,
first patient, yes, this first patient who was originally diagnosed with autism is still alive. He's in his 80s. And he had a
Wow.
good life because he came from a banking family. And so he had a job throughout his life working for his banking family. With regard to the film itself, it was quite an accurate description of Asperger's. You recall the sensory abnormalities, where he couldn't put on the jacket, which was very itchy, and he couldn't tolerate loud noises. There was one really poignant scene. You recall the scene where, could you hear me?
yes, I can hear you.
But
I recall the scene where
this-
he was astounded by all the
Something
loud
happened there.
noises around him.
Yes.
The loud noises he couldn't tolerate. He had to run away from the various exogenous noises. This is very characteristic of people with autism. You recall the idiot savants, that's the very, very highly intellectual idiot savant branch of autism, which is rare, but this is what's featured regularly. Even the one on 60 Minutes, I think Rachel referred to, the idiot savants.
Somebody's
Somebody's sharing
I'm
the
thinking
screen.
Heather Millet's screen.
Can you
Heather,
please take it out?
I got knocked out.
I'm
trying to
seeing
stop
somebody
it.
else's screen.
Yeah,
Heather-
Heather Millard,
says
you're,
Miller screen.
wait, hold on.
I don't know who Heather Millard is, but I got knocked out.
Just tap.
There you go. There you go. Okay. That's okay, Heather. Don't worry about it. You have to unmute, Heather. You have to unmute yourself.
I'm unmute. Hello.
Yeah, there you go.
There you
There you
are.
go,
Okay.
Heather.
I
Hi, Heather.
wanted to say I worked at Easter Steels as one of my internships as a social worker to get my master's, and I worked with autistic children. And I have to tell you, the most beautiful thing that happened to me when the internship was over, they gave me a card that was made out of a hand, and they wrote, I had 5 children I worked with. And on the fingertip of each of the fingers, they wrote their name.
Oh,
So the
sweet.
card was a hand, and on each finger was their name, saying goodbye to me.
Oh, wonderful.
But I have to tell you that I have not seen this film. I've messed up somehow. Because I didn't realize that you've already all seen the film.
Yes.
And I don't know how I should have seen it. What day did you all see this film?
No, we don't watch the film together. You watch the film separately on a streaming service, and all these films that I choose come on what's known as Canopy. If you belong to the library in Broward
They'll
County.
tell me. Okay, so I have to join the library for the huge amount of $10, right?
No,
That's not the way it goes.
if you can join the library, the Broward County Library is free to join.
Yes.
And if you join the Broward County Library, you can hook into what is known as Canopy, which is a streaming service, and it's filled with films and TV shows and everything else. It's a great streaming service.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you, Heather.
Heather, do you live in Broward County?
I live in assisted living at the V, independent living at Aventura. Does that?
Aventura.
So I can't,
That's
You
my.
won't be able to get it. You will not
I
be able
can't
to
do
get
it.
Yeah, the Aventura Library doesn't have it.
That's Miami.
Dade, that's Dade County.
Yeah, but I know the
Yes.
film is also available on Amazon.
Oh,
if
is
you,
it?
If you get Amazon, yeah.
I will. So from now on, if I see that you're having a discussion, I see the film and I go to Amazon to watch it.
Well, yes, you go to Amazon, or when you see the
Netflix?
email, it'll show you where to watch it. It'll tell you where
Okay.
to watch it.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome, Heather.
But it seemed like a wonderful film, which brought back memories for me.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody else want to join into the discussion? No, nobody? Should I call on somebody? We've all said wonderful things. Oh, I see someone else. Joni Scher put in Love on the Spectrum, a Netflix series about real people who are autistic. I guess it's a reality or documentary. I like to call them documentaries. Reality shows aren't anything about reality. Anyway, so there you have another one. Love on the Spectrum on Netflix. Okay. Anybody else have anything they want to speak about? Add to the conversation. If not, I guess we'll start to wrap up. But
Want to talk about your new series?
Yes, that's what I was going to do. Thank you.
Good. Sorry.
You anticipated me. Thank you. Okay. Yes, coming up for 2023. I picked a number of terrific films. You don't have to jump ahead, but if you want to, we start with The Teacher, which many of you have already seen. Many of you have already seen The Teacher. We have from Germany, the film Phoenix. From Italy, we have a wonderful film. I think, what was it, Viva la Libertà? Or did I even get that far? Did we go into March yet, Marilyn?
March, we have
Oh, wait, well, you know what? I'm missing films.
You're missing
I'm sorry, I
Cherry
apologize.
Blossom.
Yes, the second films. In January, each month has 2 films. In January, we have The Teacher from the Czech Republic, and then we have Hive, which is from Albania. Then we do Phoenix from Germany, Cherry Blossoms, also from Germany. What I tried to do was do each month, stay as close to the countries to keep them in the same area geographically, hopefully, or subject-wise. But we have The Last Supper in April, paired with 1945. There, the theme is before and after World War II. In May, we have Key of Life, a wonderful comedy paired with another Japanese film called I Wish. So we're all over the map this season. You'll be all over the map.
It sounds wonderful. And everybody, just please watch your newsletter that you get every week, and that gives you a description of each movie and the date and the time and whatever. And they sound fabulous. By the way, for March, I have Terra Firma and
Right.
Viva Libertà.
Yes, two wonderful Italian films. And I did mention at the beginning, Delicious, which we will be ending with in July. We'll be seeing that in July. So save it, savor it.
And that takes you right up to your August at sea.
Yes, right. Takes me up to my vacation, my working vacation. But this is terrific. I thank you all again for participating. I wish you all a happy and healthy and very cinematic New Year. And look forward to seeing you in January.
Right.
Not far away. It's actually a couple of weeks. It's actually a couple of
1 week.
weeks.
1 week to
So-
January.
Yeah, 1 week to January.
Thank you so much, Shelly, for all that you
thank-
do for us. The friends love you. And we are so happy that you are with us. So we can't thank you enough.
Oh, well, I thoroughly enjoy it. I enjoy sharing these films, sharing them with everyone, and I am grateful for joining me on this journey. It's wonderful, wonderful. So I will say adieu, as we would say in the film. Thank you.
Adios.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Happy New Year.
Good to see you
Happy New Year to all.
and to you.
Yes.
Let's hope that next year we'll have some peace in the world.
That would be nice.
Yes, absolutely.
That
But
would be
this takes
nice.
us away from all the nonsense. At least we see the movie, we have great discussion, and we are able to escape.
And we
Yeah.
see the world. We see the world.
Yes. Yeah, those movies is like you escape from the reality and at least enjoy a couple of hours. You know, you feel good. So thank you so much, Shelly, for
A
picking
pleasure,
for us
Dora.
all
A
those
pleasure.
wonderful movies.
Yes, thank you. Heather, it's wonderful seeing you.
And you, maybe
Thank you.
I'm 95 now. So
Oh,
I hope I can go in August on the ship.
oh, that would be lovely. That would be lovely. I
But
would love
anyway-
to have you.
Tonight.
Thank you. Anyway,
Thank you.
I hope to be able to see the films and join your discussions. As
You will.
always, it's wonderful, Shelley.
And
You're
thank you,
wonderful.
Heather. In fact, who knows? Maybe I'll show up at V again. I think FIU is working with V, so maybe I'll be able to do a presentation
Oh,
down there.
wow. Oh, wow, that would be terrific.
Good, good. It'll give me a chance
Anyway.
to see you in person.
And you. God bless. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right.
Okay.
Phyllis, I'm glad you were able to get on. She had trouble getting the link, so we will. And I see she's here.
Thank you, Marilyn. You're very, very helpful. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
We're glad you're here.
Good.
Thank you.
Oh, you know what?